Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. We're really pleased. So we're here today to talk about cybersecurity, specifically the services, what services we can help to offer, how we can help. So I think it's probably worth, first off, who you are, where do you come from? Mark?
So we're Chorus, Bristol-based MSSP, and I guess probably relevant for today's conversation is that we've been a Microsoft partner for about 20 years, and probably most critically for today is that we've been involved in Microsoft's security offering based around the Microsoft Sentinel Defender stack since its inception, which is basically about 2018. So we were early adopters right from day one.
I'm also here from Chorus, Nicola Sainer, Managing Director at Chorus. Pleased to be here today, some interesting topics to discuss, so thank you for having us.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Isn't it, Andy?
It is. Andy Brown, Technical Services Director, TD SYNNEX. That's my introduction.
And I'm Ali Nixon. I head up the cybersecurity division here for TD SYNNEX, UK and Ireland. So before we crack on, a little bit of scene setting. All of the market analysis, all the things you read, we were big fans of IDC and Canalys, are stating somewhere between sort of 12, 15, 16% growth in the cybersecurity markets over the last few years. Some clear kind of titans in the security industry, clear people growing and gaining market share, people such as Microsoft, Proofpoint. And one of the things is that the sales cycles are getting a bit longer, and there is a rise in the services that are needed. I feel one of the reports that I was reading just last night was sort of saying, well, it's the rise in the MSSPs and the role of the MSSP will define their success over the next 3 years and the services that they give. And we see a lot that there's sort of resistance to invest in cybersecurity services for many different factors, and we'll hopefully talk through quite a few of those today. But I thought it'd be really good to get, as someone who's been on this journey, kind of some of the ideas and some of the thoughts and feedbacks from your side. Why do you think people should now invest in cybersecurity services?
Yeah, I think basically we're going through a big shift. So we've got that position where I think we're all very familiar with turning the news on pretty much on a weekly basis now and seeing some headline story about some cyber incident that's occurred. I think just in the last week we've had the Move It incident, which has obviously got a lot of coverage. And I think, that is a representation of the fact that the IT security itself is not what it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago it was all about simple antivirus. Some bad files landed on my machine, somebody please deal with it. That was IT security. It's obviously got a little more sophisticated with firewalls and intrusion detection and various other bits of technology, but fundamentally it really didn't shift a lot from that position. What we've got now is we've got a position where EDR technologies, so extended detection and response technologies, and their managed formats, so managed detection and response technologies, have matured a lot. And actually, there's a significant opportunity to take the market from where it was with that legacy position to a much more modern view of security and how you deal with threats. I think there's an interesting stat from Gartner, I think probably about a year ago, where they said that they expect 50% of organizations to have an MDR service of some kind by 2025. And of course, you ask yourself, well, if it's 50% in 2025, what is it now? It must be a lot less than that. So I think there's a significant opportunity to take the market from that legacy position to a managed detection and response type service and the variations of that, which as you said, I'm sure we'll talk about. But that position means that you've got people who historically have not delivered those services. This is fundamentally a new service. Operators in the market will come forward and say, how do we get involved in this? What do we need to do? And I think in the case of MDR and the Microsoft variation of it that we stand behind, that takes a lot of time, money, effort, skills, processes. You just can't, it's not the kind of thing you spin up 6 months after you've decided to go for it. That was pretty much a 2-3 year journey for us to go from deciding we wanted to do it to having what we considered a very operable service. So it's a big commitment for any organisation.
Yeah, and so a few years ago, you probably looked at the market data and realised that you had specialisms within your business and decided to make that investment. So what kind of made you kind of go to that point? What made you to go, yes, I'm going to invest, I'm going to become this specialist?
I think for us it was the fact that we were already very, very experienced Microsoft players. You know, as a business, we had committed many years ago to being Microsoft was going to be our specialism. We didn't want to play with some of those other technologies that were available at the time. So that really gave us a very solid foundation for being Microsoft experts. And then I think we all experienced that position again 10 years ago, where Microsoft security was considered pretty laughable, to be perfectly honest. And then it went through what was fundamentally a rapid transformation. You know, that kind of not long after the hyperscale cloud kicked off and traction was being seen there, I think they realized very much that position they had was no longer sustainable. And so they very rapidly transformed, as Microsoft do, into a very effective security organization.
Real pivotal point as well, which is when you could see in these reports, the market share, 0 to 5.3% in 12 months. Yeah. It became a player. And it's as a cybersecurity side, it couldn't be ignored. You had to integrate it into a cybersecurity proposition. You had to talk to the people that are used to churning licenses through. So then to look into what the security stack was, how are the products licensed, it's all so very different and it's all very new. And actually, then you say, do you invest at that point in time? And that's kind of a really good point where we started having discussions because we were meeting at cybersecurity events and we started talking around how we could work. And actually, we as TD SYNNEX and our services division are highly capable in many areas, but we are not a specialist in one only given area. So we have kind of our technical continuum, which Andy will talk about shortly. But it actually kind of shows that we realised very quickly that the ability for us to run managed EDR services was something that would be an investment maybe at TD SYNNEX. We would have to look into more, and it goes into a whole global discussion at this point in time. And then actually talking to you and how you've made your decisions, it was really easy to see that you were specialists in what you do. But it probably wasn't all easy sailing. Speaking quite candidly, were there any risk factors involved in investing in the area? Nikki, was there any learnings that were made along the way?
Yeah, there's been a lot of learnings. I think companies really underestimate how complicated and how complex it is to spin up a UK 24/7 cybersecurity operations centre. It's really hard. There's many different factors in it. Within IT, it's grown over the years, and you can kind of predict sometimes the direction something's going to go in, but with cyber it changes quickly, it evolves very rapidly, and you don't always know what direction the next requirement's going to be. So there is a skills shortage. It's not we've got years and years and years of experts. It's moved very, very quickly. So to try and find those skills are really hard, but skills with people with the right aptitude. So you can get somebody skilled up and then it changes, it shifts again, and you haven't got those skills. So it's got to be trying to find someone with a really curious mind who's really willing to learn where we are now, but move and progress as it moves and progresses. And then to maintain it, it's the training and the development is tricky. It's exciting. It's a very exciting job to be in. The people who are in it are really passionate, and they do have that really curious mind. But it's making sure we're patient to find the right people, but then also to keep them, because everyone's hungry to move on to the next thing, and that can be really challenging as well.
Yeah. I like the fact everything's always changing. There'll be a new cyber threat. There'll be a new hack. There'll be a new piece of legislation. I think they said 75% or something. I can't remember the exact stat now. A large percentage of the world's data will be legislated through IT governance at some point in time. And actually, the way in which the world we live in becomes more and more in need of better, faster, quicker cybersecurity.
Yeah. I think also with that, you've got the very much government frameworks, standardizations, Cyber Essentials, Cyber Essentials Plus, ISO, all of those areas play a factor in it. And for insurances companies now are at a point where they do have to insure, but that the benchmark and the goalposts are constantly changing a little bit. So it's quite hard to keep up with it, and it's very complex.
You have to be a specialist.
You have to be a specialist,
in those areas.
And that's with us, where we're with the Microsoft stack, that it is staying very focused, and that's where we can be experts within it. Yeah.
Skills gap, I want to pick up on that a little bit. And it's something you read about all the time and something that some people talk about, but actually in the cybersecurity market specifically, it's an even wider skills gap. And Andy, have you come across these situations?
Yes, for sure. we're trying to build a team with people capable of supporting our partners to develop and build and sell through cybersecurity solutions. So to maintain, Nikki talks about ever-changing dynamics within that market of skills that are required. That's literally almost impossible to keep on top of. So as a distributor that's trying to provide those skills to the channel, it's really tough to maintain that through training, accreditation, recruitment. You made a good point about the need to partner in that space, and we're going to talk about partner ecosystems in a minute. It became quickly apparent to us that it's not possible to maintain that broad set of deep skills to support all of the partners and the solutions that those partners want to sell. So we have to partner, and that's where the partnership with people like Chorus supports us in providing that level of service and expertise that our partners have come to expect in other areas of our business. For me, specifically in cybersecurity and skills shortage, Nick talked about the Cyber Essentials benchmarks and accreditations that the government are working on. So if I look at private sector, there's 51% of private sector businesses of about 700,000 in the UK that are failing to meet those basic minimum requirements in Cyber Essential skills. That's the start out of 2022. 33% of those same set of partners, so 400,000 of those partners, have got a more advanced skills gap recognised to address deeper and more specialised aspects of that cybersecurity threat landscape, moving away from kind of end users and into cybersecurity partners. Again, there are problems within there around training and retaining the level of skills and accreditations within those teams. But on top of that, and again, I think, Nikki, you touched on that point of the associated soft skills around that. So if you're going to bring in somebody to support your customers with those specific skills, also you're looking for somebody who's good at sales, at marketing, who has all of those skills, soft skills that you need aside from those. So it's a really difficult balancing act to maintain that. That same report, looking at top areas of gaps specifically from year to year, going from last year into this year, called out incident management, product development, auditing, compliance and testing of solutions, and the operational management of their security posture as particularly significant areas where those skills are lacking. So actually, if you start to position the wider generalist capabilities that we of TD SYNNEX have got, supported by Chorus with the deeper specialist knowledge around some of those services, becomes a really compelling offering for our partners to take to market and for their customers to consume.